Welcome back. You're watching Prime Hour on My Media Prime. Good evening to you, Intong Ivo, my very good friend and brother, watching us from Boya. We this time around are going to be talking about how well has the civil servants served Cameroonians, and I'll start with you, Apostle Ambe. The whole notion of a civil servant in Cameroon. When we talk of civil service, what comes to your mind?
Well, when we talk of civil service in Cameroon, we're talking about people who have sacrificed more than what is being given to them to serve the nation.
Mm-hmm.
Civil servants are most of the time the sacrificial lambs that build a nation at their own cost. Because if you look at the standard of living of civil servants in our country, it doesn't meet up the sacrifices they put in for the nation. So I first of all want to salute everyone that has once served in the civil service, that your work will not be rewarded by the nation. They can give you medals tomorrow. I've seen a lot of civil servants who after leaving work, they get very frustrated. And we are encouraging a lot of people who are in the civil service right now to understand that your salary is a means to an end. It's not an end by itself. And you should also encourage the ability to develop your personal income by engaging into entrepreneurship and also involve into agriculture. Because if you look at the standard of living of most civil servants in our nation, Cameroon, we will only say they served because it was like that was the only way out. We know of many civil servants in Cameroon who worked for many years, say 35, 40 years, and they barely have houses to stay in. Others are unable to school or sponsor their children. Others are unable to even take care of their health. And so bad it is that sometimes when they even go on pension, to recover their pension money is talk of war. They start running from one office to another. I'm talking as a pastor who's come across a lot of civil servants in Cameroon, a teacher, a registrar, and all other persons in ministries that work. You will discover that most of them are very desperate. And the system is so tight in such a way that almost every civil servant is forced to carry out acts of corruption. It will be difficult for you to see a sincere civil servant, not because they want to corrupt, but because the circumstances they find themselves, it's very difficult for them not to live in corruption. So I think when we are talking about civil servants, we are talking about the people who bury their lives for the well-being. And I also know many civil servants also, when they enter into the civil service, they looked at their standard of living, decided to collect their salary or they grow low and travel out of the country to go for greener pastures. Because why? It's very, very difficult and frustrating when you are rendering some services that are not even equal to the salary that's being given back to you. Recently, Alassane Dramane Ouattara raised the salary of primary school teachers in Cote d'Ivoire to 320,000, while that of secondary school rose to 512,000. In a country like Rwanda, a country that's not compared to Cameroon, whereas doctors are paid 3 times the salary of Cameroonian doctors. A medical doctor leaves queues and comes out with 250,000 francs. How much will you pay your house, sponsor your children, and cater for yourself? So I think the civil servants in Cameroon, kudos to you for your sacrifices, and I never intended being one.
Now, when we are talking about civil servants, do they play the role of servants or positioning themselves as persons who are supposed to be served? That is, the public pays them for their services.
Mr. Leo, to me, my own definition, I think that a civil servant is somebody who has a matrical number.
Mm-hmm.
Simply put, it's somebody who has a matrical number. It means it's not somebody who is in the private sector and needs to come meet the boss and the kinds of francs. No, it's somebody who maybe goes to the bank to take a salary. To your question, civil servants in Cameroon, I think that we rather serve them instead of them serving people. The reason is because in most offices, I'll give you a very simple example. You go, for instance, where they do identification papers. Maybe you need a passport, you need an ID card. If you want yours to come out fast, if you want the services to be faster, it is true there is a tariff there until they even write numbers that, okay, if the person you're meeting doesn't want to work with, call this number. But if you want your services to be given fast, there is a way they do it. In simple terms, they call it AD, A2, A2. Because when the president appoints you, he says, Article 1, this person has been appointed to this position. Article A2, the person is entitled to all advantages to this position. It means that indirectly, when you look at that statement, it means that indirectly it's like empowering the person, okay, but not the other way around, like illegally. But now in our country, Mr. Lou, I know that bail is free, but we pay. It's paid for. Huh?
What?
It's normally they pay for. So we even ID card, you want to do ID card, they say haven't compiled all your documents, you need to give a sum of 2,800. I know people have done ID card for 18,000, 20,000, 25,000 after they've compiled all their documents. So in Cameroon, it is a bit difficult for civil servants to stay, like Apostle put it. I think one reason that is pushing them, Mr. Leo, is the fact that their salaries to an extent is very meager. I'll take the case of a primary school teacher who is appointed, for instance, or is sent to a village that has just 2 classrooms, and the people are not too much interested in education and they do just agriculture. I know primary school teachers that parents pay school fees. They come and pay school fees with a bucket of cocoyam. How does that teacher survive? Lately, I had a teacher in somewhere around Mongo actually embezzled all money that was meant to register children for the first school living certificate. That's precisely in Yato. Yeah, Yato. Yeah, in Yato. So the issue is, if the teacher had, like Apostle put it, look at the primary school the salary of a primary school teacher, for instance, in Côte d'Ivoire. If you look at what teachers in the primary school, I told a friend of mine, it's not like boasting, I don't have anything, yes, but you pay me 2 million, I'll never teach in a primary school. I mean, every month. Because when I look at what is put in, these are people who prepare lesson notes every day, and you need to go to school from 7 a.m. and at times to close at 5 p.m. for a salary that is not up to 200,000 francs, Mr. Leo. Whereas somebody stands by the roadside and just makes peep and you park, and at the end of the day he has so much money. So to an extent, these people are making us to serve them because what they take home is not commensurate to the energy they give in. For instance, another example, let's even come even to the private sector too. It's not safe. You take a driver, for instance, that the boss has put in maybe on a salary of 70,000 francs. I was discussing with the guy who has his own small taxi. Now he says, with this it's okay. That he was driving a 70-seater and he had 70,000 francs as a salary, and he needs to go to Yaoundé 3 times a week. You don't expect that man, it's been normal that the man will overload in order to meet up. So the ball game at the end is that, Mr. Leo, it's the condition, is a relationship between the employer and the employee that is causing civil servants to go at times against the norms of their job. But the $1 million question is, what about those who are still paid well? Let's take cases of magistrates, for instance. These are people earn thousands of money, but as you go there, you're even within.
I don't know whether you know the real salaries of magistrates. You say
their salary is very heavy.
Okay. You're a journalist. I would
very
like
heavy.
I'll
give it to you at the end of the program.
Okay, Mr. Njo, when you look at civil servants in Cameroon, Apostle says they are not well paid. He equally says they are not well paid, and that justifies why they do what they do. But let's take the case of a teacher. Before going into ENS, probably you already know what you are going to earn. Before going to ENAM, you already know. So nobody forced you into it, and you come out to justify that you either are stealing or you're corrupt because you are not well paid. You knew that that was the amount that was going to be paid to you.
Bon, ce que je vais dire là, sur la question, le service public n'est pas, comme autrement ce que l'on dit souvent, un sacerdoce. C'est une activité comme toute autre activité qui doit servir l'homme qui l'exerce et mettre cet homme dans les conditions qui lui permettent de s'épanouir suffisamment. Alors, Le service public, vous l'avez si bien dit, à partir du moment où on s'y intéresse, parce qu'il y a des concours, il y a des recrutements spéciaux et tout, on sait quel est le salaire d'un enseignant, par exemple, qui sort de l'école normale, en début de fonction. Et plus tard, par rapport à ses avancements, à son grade et tout, son salaire sera conséquent. Mais je vais être un peu prudent. Parce que quand vous faites... le thème est global.
Oui.
Et vous savez, le service public, s'il est question du service public, a des corporations. Et chaque corporation a certainement ses avantages et ses inconvénients. Quand je dis avantage ici, c'est dans le sens légal. Le salaire d'un enseignant de lycée ou celui de la oui, ne sont pas pareils. C'est parce que chacun a un niveau requis. Et en fonction de ce niveau requis, il a une position dans la catégorisation des échelles de la fonction publique. Mais il est question ici, pour chacun qui accepte d'y aller tout en sachant ce qu'il va recevoir, mais sans toutefois croiser les bras. Parce que vous savez, quand on est déjà dans une profession, on cherche à l'améliorer. Le pays, le Cameroun, nous ne pouvons pas faire table rase sur la question. Le Cameroun a quand même traversé de multiples crises financières qui ont perturbé les salaires dans la fonction publique de façon générale. Et à arriver à la qualité des salaires qu'on a aujourd'hui à la fonction publique, après les réajustements qu'on a connus, il faut s'en féliciter. J'ai vu, vous avez pris des exemples tout à l'heure. Je ne sais pas quel est les effectifs dans ces fonctions publiques, de ces pays-là, par rapport aux nôtres. Et je ne sais pas quelle est la dose véritable sur laquelle est adossé les paiements de ces salaires dans ces pays. Vous savez qu'aujourd'hui, le Cameroun supporte des sommes d'investissement, la masse salariale, les investissements publics, il y a les grands travaux, ainsi de suite, qui se font sans interruption. Ça veut quand même dire que le pays, quelque part, est sur la bonne balance, sur le bon côté de son évolution. Donc, si je reviens, on n'est jamais satisfait de ce qu'on gagne. On voudrait tout permanemment améliorer ses conditions. Moi qui vous parle, je suis fonctionnaire. Quand j'y allais, je savais ce que je vais toucher. C'est pas pour autant que je reste bras croisés. J'appelle à mes employeurs ou à mon employeur, chaque fois il faut améliorer les conditions de travail, il faut améliorer les salaires. Mais cela va également des dispositions que le pays a sur sa main.
Okay, Apostle Ambi, now civil servants and the spirit of work, is it the fact that they are not well paid that they will not stay in their respective offices for the number of hours required? They will not be so efficient in serving people, or is the lack of a mechanism that strictly supervises what they are supposed to do?
I think it's bad mechanism in supervision. Most of the civil services in our country today, their services rendered are very, very poor. Very, very poor, because I don't think there is the authorities in those respective departments go around to cross-check what their workers do. For instance, the newly appointed Minister of Health, Manaoda Malachi, came to Douala to the hospital, only to realize that the nurses and the servants and the workers there could not even welcome him. The woman that came and stood at the entrance of Lankentini died at the entrance because the nurses could not give attention to that person. He left and traveled to Ibuloa, to the hospital, to go and check, only for him to realize that everything was in a haphazard manner. I think because they know they have a matricle number that gives them access to the bank at the end of the month. Whether they work or they don't work, nobody is there to verify them. I can tell you that there are many ghost workers in this country. And there are people living out of this country collecting salary in this country. If the mechanism of supervision was effective, then all those who live out of the country and they are collecting salary as civil servants were supposed to have been checked. That's one of the things. It tells us that people are not properly supervised or investigations are not carried out. The same goes with projects in the country. People will tell they are constructing something here, and the people go there, they don't do anything, but there's nobody to cross-check it. It still falls back to the civil service. There are a lot of projects in this country that have been abandoned somewhere and the money has been swindled and embezzled. But because there was nobody to cross-check, it allows everything go like that. Teachers don't come to school sometimes, they stay in their houses. But because there is no inspector that goes around to check activities in the school. I own a primary school. The inspector only comes there, wants to check, and you put in envelope. Once they come there and check and they go. So it's telling you that they are not there to cross-check the work done. They are there to see how they can be able to collect their money and put in their pocket. Now, because of the level of laziness and lousiness of the civil servants, we cannot have competent activities coming from the civil service sector. That's the reason why the private sector that has people that man over institutions and carry out detailed investigations of work, they are producing more results than those in the civil service. Take for instance, in this Cameroon, we have the best results from mission school and private schools. Why? Because those mission school and private schools are being manned by individuals who make sure that they cross-check the activities and the work of individuals. Today we have had the highest crimes of children piercing others with knife in government schools, in lycée. The children will kill another one in school. Children take tramadol. It's to tell you that supervision is not properly carried out in such institutions. There are some schools where the principal attends school once in a week. There is no boss to verify him, nobody to check him. There are police commissioners and divisional officers that do not go through the street to check how police people operate. A man can carry a human head and his passing as long as he gives 500 francs, he's going ahead. There is no check. Why? Because the salary given to the person cannot even meet up his demands. He is forced to stretch his hand and collect. So I think poor supervision is number one reason why the civil service is not effective. Secondly, the amount of salary, the money given to them doesn't even encourage you. In business or in work, there's something called motivation. Civil servants are not motivated. They are the only people that if you can work for 10 hours, they will still pay you the same salary for 8 hours. They don't work overtime for civil service. If you go to work, they pay you. You don't go to work, they don't pay you. But with the private sector, if you work 8 hours and add 2 hours, they will pay you overtime. So it pushes people to give out their best. So I think that lack of proper supervision and bad salary or pay package is one of the reasons why most of the civil service in the country, they are very, very poor in rendering services. The third thing is that they don't even have manners. You enter into a government bureau, they are from Friday or Thursday, some civil servants go for weekend. You catch them only on Monday again. You go to with documents in the office, he's not there. The DA is not there on Thursday, he's not there on Friday, he's not there on Saturday. And SGO will leave somewhere like Southwest and come to Yaoundé from Thursday, come back on Monday, sign 2 documents by Tuesday, he leaves again. Because there's nobody to verify, to check him. So he lives his life as he likes. So one of the poorest sectors in the nation is the civil service.
Okay, civil service. Cameroon wants to emerge by 2035, and that will require a lot of creativity, ingenuity. We know that the policies of this nation is driven by the civil service. I want you, Prince Joel, to tell me how creative, how ingenious our civil service is, because I spoke with 3 persons before this program. They told me that most persons working in our civil service behave like they are robotized. That is, everything is with high instructions from somewhere. That is, you are just there. When you receive high instructions, you act.
Sure, Mr. Leo, the people who told you, I believe that they were speaking from experience, what they've gathered. You know, what we actually have in Cameroon is we have people who are trained to toe the line. And that is why our civil service has failed to a greater extent, because it's not creative. You will be shocked that schools that perform at times the best in overall exams are private, they're not government schools.
Of course.
And these are not people who may necessarily come from ENS. And you will also agree with me that a majority of companies that have succeeded and are succeeding are companies that are owned by individuals and not companies that are owned by the state, whereby the state has an environment or a school where it brings out people that they go out and work. So it is a kind of a situation, because we have people who have been trained, given a kind of, because what actually the educational system we have is the arches of colonialism. So you have people who have a mindset of just doing something. Where they get hooked, they don't think that they could do it the other way. It's just, this is how I was taught, and if this is what they taught us in school, this is what we should do. So I think that, Mr. Leo, creativity in the public service, I don't think it actually exists. You hardly will you see a civil servant coming out of the box. It is working within what they were trained in school.
Of course.
Okay? The way, for instance, a divisional officer of maybe, say, Douala here behaves, will almost be the same with the one who is in Kambe or in Akoya behaves. Why? Because they come from a school called Enam. They have ethics and deontology that they must do. But I believe that when you're in the field, there are certain things that you meet up with, because you do not treat, for instance, people who are in a remote area with people who are in the urban area. There are two different people. So creativity in our service is very lacking, Mr. Leo. There is something that a friend of mine kept somewhere, and I forwarded it to another WhatsApp group, and a guy from, I call him a teacher's training, argued strongly that that is not a question, because he says for something to be a question, what they told them in school must be this. So we are failing because we have norms that we must follow. But I believe that in our own profession, we come from, Mr. Leo, they always tell you in school, Prince, the journalism that teach you in school, when you go to the field, there are certain realities you're going to embrace. It is true you may go, okay, let's say there is shooting on there is what is ongoing on the 22, and you're going out for coverage. You don't need, it is true you must deliver the story and you must respect deadline. So if you hear a gunshot, you stay there because your boss is expecting the story. It's no way. So I believe that the level of creativity, Mr. Leo, our civil service has failed. And a majority of those who have entered the public service and have wanted to like show off have ended up being very quiet. A case in point is Ephraim Enoni. Let us look at Operation Sparrowhawk. People used to open their offices, and before you come, if you come at 8, you come at midnight, another lock when he was PM. Look at what Malauda Malashi was doing. This is someone who gets into the office, because what our ministers in Cameroon do is, if he's coming to Yaoundé on Monday, he announces 1 week later, and the convoy itself. But this is a minister of public health who goes into a hospital, and because the doctors in Cameroon know that, according to the ethics, you need to first of all go and buy a carnet and consult, and even if you're dying, they say, va consulter d'abord. Now the man comes and they treat him the same. And it's the same situation he had in the north, which means that if he did in just 2, if he did in more than 10, you would have noticed that it is seemingly the same situation all over. So what becomes the problem? You discover that it is an issue of the training, the mindset. And at times, Mr. Leo, these things happen because some people are very big people. Let me give you an anecdote just for 2 seconds. I know of a young police officer who was controlling traffic around Bonaberi. This guy stops a lady who parks her car in front of the road, and he's on phone, and the guy is like, "You're disturbing traffic," and the lady says, "Let's go." Why? Because at times when even those who want to do their job are tied up because there is somebody somewhere who will report him to the boss. Let me tell you, the next day that guy was sent to Yabasi and he's there for 5 years. So it tells you that there are those who may even want to be creative, but since Cameroon is a country of connection, je connais monsieur, mais si tu tentes là, je vais faire un appel et vous allez voir ce qu'il va faire.
Good evening, Mr. Leo, and the panel. This is Madame Menjua Apostle Ambe. You can say it again. I'm a victim. I started with a sum of 30,000 francs as salary. It's terrible. Sometimes you are forced to collect 25 francs each from the people just to buy gari and sugar to drink with their children in the house. Mr. Liu, please, you people should raise your voice on our behalf. Teachers are suffering. There are teachers who have been working for 20 years without promotion, no any form of encouragement, but younger teachers with money and connection use it to buy positions. Bad government. Kudos to Apostle Ambe for saying the stress of teachers. Teachers live from hand to mouth in Cameroon. A special edition for teachers is coming up next week. Good evening, Mr. Liu, and all the members of the panel. I really like the debate on civil service. I wish to correct Mr. Joel that magistrates do not have a heavy pay package. A magistrate live in Nam. Yes, I'm talking to because I spoke with a magistrate yesterday. A magistrate lives in Nam with index 530 and earns less than 250,000 francs. What magistrates once enjoyed was a monument, but it is no longer regular. Even when regular, it is now very small. Oben Wilson, writing from Boya. Thank you for that. Okay, this one. Civil servants face some difficulties, but I prefer working in civil service in Cameroon because the job have guarantee more than private sectors where they can sack at any time because there is a lot of graduates out there, and also tribalism. Usaini Buba, writing from Boya. Greetings, Mr. Kum, and to you all in the house, and a special greetings to Mr. Joel and Apostle. Your program today is good. Can't participate because I'm in Algeria. Now, keep on. Mohammed, writing from Algeria. Good evening to you, Mohammed. Charles Embola, who is one of our panelists here, writing from Boya. Good evening to you. He says civil servants are not there to make money, but to serve the basics to the common man. The private sector is that area meant to make money. No wonder civil servants are richer than businessmen and women in this country. Another aspect is the lack of creativity by state workers. They make everything look so Herculean, always in a bid to extort money from the common man. If everyone does his or her job properly, we won't have issues using the public offices. Charles Embola in Boya, good evening to you. This one says, greetings, sir. Civil servants are doing their best, just that their needs is more than their wants. All we need patriotic Cameroonians. Let love lead. Agendia Sylvester is writing from Yaoundé. Hello, my beautiful family. Chenui Waters, writing from Gabon. Please, want to thank all of you for the way you people talk in the house. I'm very happy, especially the brother with the red cap. Okay, I don't know. Hello, Mr. Liu. Thank you for the wonderful work you are doing, and greetings to all the panelists. Please let the panelists broaden their analysis to other sectors of the public service like military, custom, magistrates, etc., rather than focusing only on teachers. Teachers, the only civil servants they are afraid to analyze other sectors. Now, Mr. Njo, we had a video that made rounds today on social media, yesterday and today, from the Archbishop of the Douala Metropolitan Archdiocese, who says that civil servants are forced to belong to one party, and that may also have an impact on the way they work their output, because seemingly you people are forced to belong to the CPDM party. You are a militant of the CPDM party, you are a civil servant. Were you forced to join the CPDM party, or are you doing it because you want to be promoted?
Non. Si, enfin, la question me concerne, oui. D'abord. Je fais la politique avant que je ne sois fonctionnaire.
Okay.
J'ai commencé la politique, j'étais élève au lycée du Manengouba en Konsamba, 88. J'ai fait la politique par conviction. Maintenant, le champ politique est un champ d'opportunité quand on entre dans la politique, parce que l'objectif en politique, beaucoup plus l'objectif d'un parti politique, c'est d'accéder au pouvoir. Et quand le parti accède au pouvoir, il accède au pouvoir avec ses membres. Ça, on ne peut pas nier cela. Mais je fais la politique pas parce qu'aujourd'hui, il faut que je puisse, si j'ai ça, je ne vais pas refuser. Mais
Pourquoi on est non ministre, hein?
Chacun, même vous pouvez être nommé ministre. Nous, tous les citoyens peuvent être nommés.
Mais
Il suffit.
pour ceux qui sont dans le parti au pouvoir.
Mon nom n'est pas du parti au pouvoir. Donc, bon, je vais essayer d'embrayer ce que les companélistes ont dit au sujet. Le service public, c'est dit qu'il n'est pas effectif. C'est un peu comme une insulte sur vous-même, qui êtes sur le plateau. C'est un peu dire comme que ceux qui ont travaillé dans les hôpitaux pendant que la pandémie sévissait n'ont rien fait. Il y a quand même des cas d'exemple. Dit que les enseignants, je peux comprendre qu'une corporation se plaigne des conditions de travail. Nous tous, on a besoin d'avoir beaucoup plus que ce qu'on a aujourd'hui. Mais dit que l'effectivité n'existe pas, je peux dire que c'est un tout petit peu exagéré, mais je peux vous comprendre, parce qu'en qualité de citoyen, quand j'entends votre discours, vous êtes déjà un républicain, un citoyen qui veut que les choses s'améliorent et que le Cameroun, pour tout le monde, se porte bien. Alors, je peux être d'accord, mais je vous souhaiterais, je vais nuancer un tout petit peu votre discours. Aujourd'hui, on peut constater de plus en plus que les ministres sont sur le terrain. Ils font partie du service public parce qu'ils sont à la tête de la gestion du service public. Oui. Le ministre Manaouda, quand il va dans les hôpitaux sans que les responsables l'attendent, qu'il les surprenne, c'est pour aller toucher du doigt ce que vous êtes en train de décrire, ce que lui ont été rapportés les citoyens. Quand le ministre Nalova Yonga descend dans les établissements,
après qu'on a tué les enfants, comme ce qui s'est passé au Daïdo.
Non, pas seulement. Pas seulement. Il y a des descentes inopinées que les chefs de département ministériels font. À la fonction publique, le Joseph Anderselo et tout, ils font des descentes.
Il a signalé tout à l'heure que c'est pour prendre les enveloppes.
Non, justement, c'est pour... S'il a la preuve que le ministre descend prendre les enveloppes, bon, moi, il va décliner ses preuves. Mais mon objectif, en fait, du moins, notre objectif ici, c'est de dire ce qui va bien et ce qui
ne va pas.
Alors, le service public, bon, moi, j'ai dit, quand on prend l'enseignement, les résultats sont là, non? Des différents examens officiels. Malgré les conditions dans lesquelles les enseignants ont travaillé, sous l'effet Covid et tout ça, ils sont rentrés là-dedans. Les infirmiers, les médecins sont morts pour seulement la mémoire de ces personnes-là. Les enseignants ont été assassinés, soit par leurs élèves, soit à cause de l'instabilité qu'il y a dans certaines de nos régions. Ils n'ont pas eu peur d'aller faire leur travail. Donc, je pense que dire que le service public n'est pas effectif, c'est une insulte.
Okay.
Je vais dire que le service public est une réalité dans notre pays. Au sein de ce service public, il y a des brebis galeuses qui peuvent nuire au bon fonctionnement de la chaîne. le chef d'État a souvent pris des décisions suspendant certains fonctionnaires de leur soit de leur fonction, soit de leur corporation. Hein? On a révoqué des magistrats, on a révoqué les policiers, hein, les commissaires et tout ça. On a révoqué un certain nombre de personnes parce que quand ça arrive là où il faut, les décisions sont prises. Maintenant, aux citoyens de participer. L'action publique n'appartient pas que à ceux qui exercent ce travail-là. L'action publique appartient à tout le monde. Si vous avez la preuve d'une corruption quelque part, et je pense que le service public a des institutions qui en sont, qui en ont la charge de sévir, de combattre contre, par exemple, la corruption. Oui. Aujourd'hui, il s'est tenu à la région ici une réunion de ce type avec la CONAC qui a évalué le niveau de corruption dans la région du littoral. Et ça ne s'est pas fait avec ça ne s'est pas fait sous le langage protecteur. Ça a été fait, les acteurs se sont regardés dans les yeux pour dire quel est le niveau de corruption dans la région du littoral, qui a la ville, qui est une région très économique, qui tient le Cameroun. Donc c'est pour dire, pour chuter et dire que le service public, s'il n'était pas effectif, peut-être qu'on ne dormirait pas chez nous. À toute quiétude, la police et tout ça. Si vous allez dans les services d'urgence là, dans les hôpitaux, vous allez trouver qu'il y en a des infirmiers.
Yeah, but they have to be there. But they have to be there. But the problem is, how do they take care of those who come there? Maybe you have to give them something before.
Pas tout. La corruption existe. On va pas nier cela. Mais c'est pas tout le monde qui est corrompu.
Now, we know that most countries, the force that drives most economies in most countries across the globe is the private sector. How is the civil service in Cameroon helping the growth of the private sector? Or the civil service is also positioning itself as a core competitor of the private sector?
The civil service, because of its laxity and ineffectiveness, is pushing the private sector. No, I have to be very serious. You can't take that one from me because I have lived in it. The civil service, because of ineffectiveness and its laxity, it is pushing the private sector to be very, very competitive. As a matter of fact, schools, hospitals, and other institutions in the private sector, they have looked at the weaknesses of the public sector and then upgrade their standard. If you go to private hospitals, like I will not cite, I want to advertise any hospital here. If you look at the attention of the nurses, the care they give to you, minus the money you are paying, which is not even up to the civil service, you will discover that some level of decorum and integrity is in the private sector. Why? The private sector depends on what comes in to pay its workers. The civil service does not depend on what comes in. It depends on the taxes of the people. A policeman does not produce any income. They only give security. There is no portion in police that generates money. The military does not have any sector it generates money. It only consumes. It is the taxes of other departments and the private sector that pays the military. Have you ever seen military selling rice? Do they have granite they are selling? For schools collect school fees, which is PTA. And sometimes that money is being used to cater for people. There are sectors in this country, in the civil sector, that does not generate any income. Military consume money for uniform, for helmet, for guns, for bullets. What do they say in return? Nothing. So it is definitely telling us that there are some portion of the civil service that only consumes and does not produce. But the private sector, if you are going to do business there, you have to depend on what comes in to give out to those who are working. So you must be forced to be competitive and work very hard. I'm talking like somebody who owns a school. I'm talking like somebody who owns a farm, and I own a company.
Yes, but a little bit more or away from what my question is. It is the private sector that brings in the money.
Of course.
But how does the civil service, because there are sectors in the civil service, in the government apparatus, that are supposed to provide an enabling environment for the private sector to be able to be more productive, so as to pay more taxes to the state. Do we see the civil service working for the growth of the private sector?
They don't. They do not work for the growth of the private sector. Because why? For instance, if you want to open a company in Cameroon, you go to the office of the taxation office to open a company. Sometimes the amount of money they will ask from you can even discourage you from opening that company. That is a civil service puncturing the private sector. I hope you get what I'm saying. They are not helping situations at all. Because if you look at the level of corruption in this country, there are people who have come to open farms. They go to the civil service to get legalization. The amount of money they ask them for that document is a serious concern. There are people who have come to this company to open companies. When they go to pursue the documents to open the company, the amount of money they ask from them is a serious challenge. People have come with so many great visions in this country, and they were punctured by the civil service because they were not given legalization on how to operate. So you discover that the civil service, because of its high level of corruption, has built a wall that limits the private sector from expanding. There are documents, if you access in this nation, you can do business at a very wider range. But you discover that because it is civil servants who have to put their stamp on those documents, it becomes very difficult for somebody to get a common document. I know Opowu Levio came here with projects drafted just to get documents to finalize those projects. Civil service in the ministries asked them 50 million. Now, if a man is asked 50 million because he wants to open a company that can employ at least 1,000 Cameroonians, how is the civil service sector helping the private sector to grow? Where almost every office you enter, even you enter in an office to see a secretary that will allow you to see a boss, you must press something at the entrance. Are they there to serve the interest of the population or to fill their stomachs at the expense of the population? Are they there to jeopardize the well-being of the entire state because of their self-aggrandizement, selfish, egocentric dimensions in operation, or what? I think we should come to a place of understanding that, okay, it is not fun that you as a Cameroonian, you don't have an ID card. That's a civil service. An ID card that can permit you circulate in the country and do business successfully, sometimes you run after it for 6 months. Do I need to fast to be identified as a Cameroonian? Everything about me shows I'm a Cameroonian. There are people who have gone to do passport to go outside and do business or bring money to this economy. What we have in Cameroon is capital flight, and it's very delicate. Capital flight is when more money leaves a country out than what is coming in. Chinese don't bank with us. If you go to most of the banks, they do by transfer. Western Union, billions are leaving this country, but not Nigeria. Nigeria has a system of government whereby you must open an account in their country before you transfer money there. The highest amount of money you can transfer from Nigeria to Western Union is $500. Somebody was to send me 10 million from Nigeria. There was no way. They needed to put it in an account there. Since he has an account here, they move from account here and put in my account. Capital flight. We don't have security measures that secure finances in this country. Ours is going out. Our security system financially is very porous. So much money leaves this country or is coming in. Now somebody needs a passport to fly to Japan and buy cars. They ask you 300,000 for passport. Is that not civil sector puncturing the private sector from growing? The issue of documents. I know a guy who came to open 100 hectares of palms. Because he went for documentation, they asked him 20 million. He abandoned the project. Who is puncturing who? The system is so tight-fisted to a level whereby it has suffocated many dreams that came here because of documents.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Liu. I know of the grade 1 teacher who was earning 75,000 francs a salary while he was taking a part-time job in a private secondary in Kawakawa. Don't know what Kawakawa. What he did is giving us a mental to be solving while he runs to the secondary school to teach for 2 hours and run back. Why was he doing that? Because what he received as a salary could not properly take care of him and his family. Good evening to you in the studio. When a true CPDM speaks, you know at once, even though the other panelists are pointing the laxity and corruption of the civil service. Philip is writing from Kumba. This one's D4. Richard says, if Gaga Haman with Operation Shas Obalen was given a free hand in 1991-1992, laxity, corruption, and incompetence should have been a thing of the past. Good evening to you, Deputy, watching us from Bonaberi in Douala. About 75% of civil servants in Cameroon are squared pegs in triangular holes. Why? Because they enter into the civil service just for the matricles and monthly salary and not for the love of the job. They are therefore not creative and can't deliver. Tabot Machiavelli is writing from Yaoundé. Evening, Mr. Leo, your program is very educative. The corruption is very big of the paid package. How do you imagine a magistrate has a salary of less than 250,000 francs after bribery into Enam? He spends like 5 million. How is he going to have that money back? Salaries should be increased. The government should do something. Ashu is writing from where? Good evening to you all. People always complain about teachers that their hands are very strong. Teachers like those coming out from higher teachers training college are the first category in the country, but a first school holder in the army earns more salary than them, so we should not blame teachers. Their stress is too much. Frankie P. Moto writing from K-Town. That is an information that we will need to clarify, because I'm sure it's not true. Good evening, sirs, in the studio. You people are doing a wonderful job. Thanks for speaking out about the teachers' situation in Cameroon. Most of our denominational and private school teachers are living like beggars in our communities. Move on. What you people are discussing in the studio. There are someone somewhere listening. Martin is writing from Mutengene. The problem with this country is too much Godfather, too much man no man. Divine writing from Bafu Sam. Most people join public service not for passion but out of frustration, the matricule syndrome, given that the private sector has been pressed down by the regime. Bongzem is writing from Kumbo, that is in Bui division. Now, is the problem with the civil service the motivations to join it? Is the motivation maybe for teachers, magistrates, and the rest, is it to actually serve Cameroonians or to have the matricule? And is the problem also at the level of the selection of those who are given the opportunity to serve Cameroonians?
Sure, Mr. Leo, the first aspect is that most people who enter the civil service do so as a way to earn a living. That's the first aspect, because they do it as a way to survive. And secondly, what also makes the civil service very, very complicated, or what makes some of them not to be able to actually serve, is because a majority of them enter through what one audience said there, that through godfatherism. You will tell me, we know very well. I'll give you a very simple example, Monsieur. In 2013, I actually sat for ENS. And I went in for bilingual letters. In University of Bamenda, they needed 30 students. Now, when you say 30, it's from the 10 regions. It's not as if it's not on South. We need 30. The issue is how many government schools graduate children who have advanced level each year. So, and at times when you go to the higher one, because that one teaching, to big people teaching is for the commoners. Now go to schools like Enam, Emia. They need 15 people in Cameroon. You don't want to tell me that you had a master's degree more than other person. So when you look at it, it is a kind of, it's a canker one that started long ago. Since somebody spent huge sums to get where the person is, the person too wants to do everything to recover what the person has spent. It's very clear, and when this is being done, you discover that the person now cannot actually sacrifice And at times, given that a majority of those who get into this position, I'm not saying that at all, a majority of those who get into some of these big schools are not actually those who have the savoir-faire, are not actually those who have the know-how. It's just some persons, because they have some person somewhere. There is somebody in this country who is the assistant to the SDO who has never passed through a NAM, whereas you must pass through a NAM before you get to stages like that. We know people who are senior lecturers in the university without having a PhD. We should not call people's names, but we know them. Somebody was recently appointed a director in one of the big universities here in Douala with a master's degree. And you will come now and meet somebody who has a PhD or maybe 15 years of experience. You are his boss. Okay. So, yeah. So the bottom line is just an issue of, it's a whole chain where people enter into the public service, maybe because of, some enter because of godfatherism, not all. Some enter because they actually married. But now, those who enter because they don't actually have the know-how, it's the normal that you don't expect them to be creative. You don't expect them to actually give. You cannot give what you don't have. You only give what you have. Huh? I've watched lecturers when I was in UB. I've watched lecturers who teach in Pidgin. Because you start asking yourself how the person does well found. It's true that the person may have the know-how, but how do you find yourself teaching chemistry? I've told people chemistry and chemistry are two different things. You don't bring them together.
Okay, you don't bring them together. Mr. Njo, how do we get Cameroon's public service to work completely in the interest of Cameroonians, especially as Cameroon looks forward to becoming an emerging nation by 2035?
L'émergence en 2035 est un projet global qui n'est pas réservé à l'administration ou au service public. Mais l'administration a un rôle très important parce que l'administration doit accompagner ce projet. Parce que c'est l'administration qui régule toutes les entités, toutes les composantes qui doivent amener le pays à l'atteinte de ce point, c'est-à-dire à l'atteinte de l'émergence. Permettez que je revienne sur ce qu'a dit le frère d'en face. Le service public et le service privé, c'est deux entités différentes. Par leur mission, par les objectifs et par les buts. Un service public régule le fonctionnement d'une nation. Par conséquent, accompagne les structures privées dans leurs objectifs à atteindre. Il les assiste même. On a vu dernièrement avec la question sur le Covid, où l'État prévoit injecter des fonds pour soutenir des structures, des entreprises qui ont été impactés négativement par la pandémie du Covid. Donc, pour dire, c'est en vue, ça va être fait. Ça va être fait. Okay. Ça va être fait parce que ça a été déjà dit. Okay. Il y a des mécanismes qu'il faut accomplir pour que la réalisation soit effective. Okay. Mais tant que, si c'est dit, si c'est déjà dit, ça veut dire que la chose, le projet n'attend qu'à être réalisé.
Quand le statut spécial depuis 1996.
C'est en train d'arriver aujourd'hui. L'essentiel, excusez-moi, l'essentiel, c'est son aboutissement. L'essentiel, c'est l'aboutissement. La nation est un legs. C'est un legs. C'est un héritage commun. Nous, on va laisser cette nation avec des projets que nos enfants et nos petits-enfants vont mettre en place. C'est pas pour autant que si nous ne sommes pas là, le pays va arrêter de fonctionner. Donc, pour dire que l'État a ses missions, l'État a ses compétences, l'État a ses objectifs à atteindre, l'État a ses résultats. Une entreprise privée qui veut faire un chiffre d'affaires et un ministère qui doit, de façon globale, atteindre ses objectifs, c'est aussi des résultats. Donc, quand vous dites que certains services publics ou le service public ne produit pas, je vais dire, je m'importe en faux. Je dis non, vous n'allez pas dire cela.
Non, je n'ai pas dit ça.
Bon, peut-être je vous ai mal saisi.
Je dis que
oui.
Le service public n'aide pas les services privés par rapport à certains dossiers. Les gens ont venu pour investir. L'argent qu'on les a demandé pour ouvrir un société qui va bénir le pays.
Même sur ce plan-là, vous êtes très radical dans votre discours.
C'est la vérité.
Quand on voit, pour prendre par exemple le ministère en charge des petites et moyennes entreprises, comment est-ce qu'il se déploie pour accompagner les créateurs d'entreprises? Vous ne pouvez pas dire de façon radicale que ce n'est rien n'est fait. Il peut avoir.
Il y a les impôts. Il y a les impôts. Tu crées une petite boutique au quartier.
Attends, on va venir vers moi. Je vais gérer.
On n'a pas de temps.
Il y a un allègement.
Non.
Il y a un allègement fiscal.
Non.
Qui est fait, qui est accordé aux créateurs d'entreprises aujourd'hui.
Okay. Let me take some messages, Mr. Liu. For us to get the best out of every sector in Cameroon is only the first of all changing the government in place. Good day. Okay, thank you for your contribution. This Cameroon is a bad place to be for every where give my own and go there can never stop. God help us. Ernest is writing from Ekuna. This one says Cameroon survival is survival for the fittest. Okay. Jeremy from Gabon says really a brother with red words are really educative from Cameroonians. God bless you, my brother. This one says I see no problem with civil servants in Cameroon, but the process of recruitment and payment for one to enter into a civil service, he must have given a brown envelope to the hierarchy concerned, and the payback is low. Is James Atabo in Tombel, and a big hand of congrats to Joel. This one, Mohamedou from Yaoundé. Good evening, Mr. Liu. And co-civil service in Cameroon is poorly due to lack of supervision. Also, you need to have a godfather before you can advance. Good evening to you, Mohamedou. I'm sure I took that message already. This one says, Nzinze writing from Yaoundé, private schools are seen to perform well because not every student in Form 5 and upper 6 are registered as internal students. Only the best and the average ones are registered as internal students. Nzinze, I'll make my research. Good. In Cameroon, we have civil warriors, not civil servants. I was greatly embarrassed today in the transport office in Kumba. I went there to get an information, but they were only interested in money, as if I needed to buy the information. At the end of it, I was asked to leave the office if I am not willing to comply. Divine is writing from Kumba. Okay, Divine, Masha, for what you went through today. This one says, good evening to you all. Wise patriotic panelists, it is a bad idea and illogical for a group of unarmed persons to go out against the chief of the armed forces of an entire nation. Yes, some Kamto lights may say you English went out to liberate your so-called state and yet don't want us to liberate us. Agbo Eno Baldwin, writing from where I don't know. Good evening to you, Agbo. Good evening, Mr. Liu and my fellow senior citizens. I think Mr. Kamto is backed by an international body. I am not a politician. If I must speak politically, Kamto is a dice to change or cure the political ulcer. Okay, in Cameroon, Prince 4 is writing from Douala. Good evening, Mr. Liu. We should not underestimate Professor Maurice Kamto. Maybe he has facts that President Biya is dead and the ministers are hiding it. Enoch Luby is writing from Kumba. We have to end here. Professor Apostle Why do I like calling you Professor?
That's why.
Apostle Ambe, thank you for coming.
Thank you, Mr. Liu, and thank you, televiewers of Prime Hour. We'll always be here to contribute and educate you. The civil service of Cameroon should stop suffocating private sector. I beg you, civil servants, allow us have documents that will make us grow this economy. God bless you.
Thank you too, Prince Joel, for coming.
Thank you very much for having me on the platform, Mr. Liu. It's always a privilege to be there. A special good evening to Yaga Enes that is watching somewhere in Mutengene. And to all those who are part and parcel of the Inchani Cultural and Development Association that are planning to be in Bafoussam on Saturday.
We equally want to say thank you to you, Mr. Joe Valentin.
Merci. Bon, je ne peux que dire merci à Prime TV qui fait confiance au RDPC, qui ne cesse pas d'inviter le parti pour qu'il vienne donner aux citoyens camerounais sa vision du fonctionnement des institutions de la République. Je vous dis merci pour cela et j'appelle tous les compatriotes qui sont appelés acteurs dans le processus électoral en cours avec les élections régionales d'aller voter massivement les conseillers municipaux. J'en appelle à la conscience des uns et des autres et surtout aux citoyens camerounais qu'ils ne se laissent pas emporter par des discours qui ne tiennent pas. Le Cameroun est un et indivisible et il est fait pour tous ces.
Thank you very much, Mr. Joe, and to the production team. We say thank you to you, Eli and Desmond and Paul, and you guys at the broadcasting. We're very grateful for the great job you are doing since morning. And to you, Tabby Dambe Bryant, we say thank you so much for the work you are doing out here also. Stay blessed. Bye-bye.